if you've got debts and they're chasing you, it can be stressful because they're just abusive, or they send the heavies and everything. And then you can create the person that's not you, that's representing them. There's companies that do that, but what they do is just say they take 500 a month off you, and they're paying them like $1 or $5, and they're keeping most of the money. But you can be that person yourself. There's no law against that. And then I done a course, there was BB, unfortunately she passed, BB Backus. She was very good. What happened with her is she was doing real estate in Florida, I believe, doing very well. And then there was a grant for people with lower income, and she found out that the city was actually pocketing it and not giving it to them, and she exposed it, and they locked her up for 8 years. Sometimes people are saying, oh, can I get out of the system? Do I get into the system? I think you have to do both, because you know, you
in parallel,
yeah, you have to just, you know, because there's some things that are good. Like sometimes people are thinking, oh, I don't need a driving license and I have the freedom to drive and all this kind of thing, but then they think they can drive at any speed. I don't want that, because I want safety.
My guest today is a serial entrepreneur and a serial podcaster who's brought 6 podcasts to the top 0.5 podcasts worldwide. This is Roy Coughlan, pronounced in other parts of the world outside of his hometown as Coughlan or something like that. Hi Roy, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm just admiring the beautiful wings behind you, lovely background that you've got there.
Thank you. Yeah, no particular thinking, you know, I'm not an angel. The wings are not for that. Nor a Victoria's Secret model, I must say. Roy, we're speaking about business and how to succeed. You've run more than 20 businesses. You founded more than 20 businesses. What are some of the high-level learnings from these foundings of businesses?
There's been a lot of lessons kind of learned, I suppose. What I've realized is that at some stage, you know, when you're hiring people and everything, that you treat everyone different. Sometimes people, you kind of treat everyone the same, and you can't. You have to deal with individuals. Sometimes people say, don't have a friendly relationship. Others say, get close to them because you get the best out of them. And I kind of just, I do it from my heart. I realize, okay, how I feel with that person, the person I get close with. Others, they keep their distance. But what I've learned is everybody's got their own kind of battles at home and what's going through them. So when you realize you're not getting a player out of them that week, that month, whatever, you can go away, go for lunch, and have the conversation. What's going on in your life? And sometimes you can help them by just being there for them, and realize there's something going on in their life, because we all have turmoil. Something will happen, some curveball will happen, and instead of just kind of berating them or kind of going, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, because if there's something bad happening in their family life, they don't need that. And sometimes just being there for them, and they'll appreciate that, and then you can help them, you can give them maybe some advice, and then they'll get back. And sometimes they'll get back better, and they'll appreciate you for being there for them when that happens. A lot of people don't do that. So I think that would be a good thing for people to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Are you referring to anybody you're in a relationship with, be it your employee or a client, or relationships in general?
I would say mainly employees at that stage, you know, because when I worked in Ireland, I was working for a big mechanical contracting company, running big jobs, like up to 10 million euro and some of them. And I had big teams, and I kind of learned it then, that you were kind of dealing with people. And that's what I found. I used to take them out and just sit down with them and find out what's going on. And I just kind of applied that then when I'm 18 years in Poland, done a lot of real estate and everything. And at one stage, there was about 14 people on my books. And it was the same kind of thing, just kind of realizing you're dealing, everybody is different. So sometimes people think, treat everyone the same. No, that doesn't work. Everyone is different.
Mm-hmm. There's so many playbooks and rule books of how to relate to people and how to achieve your goals, but also help them achieve what they want. You know, you're looking at it from various perspectives. I have a ton of books on relating. are you saying there is practically no real playbook? Because that's been my thinking for quite some time now, that there is no real playbook about anything really. It's everybody's individual experiences in a certain situation at a certain time with with a certain person. It cannot be replicated. It's very difficult for it to be replicated.
Absolutely. And there's a few ways as well. Like, so even in the hiring process, because everybody brings their A game, they all try to be like the perfect person that you want. But what you can do is you can have kind of systems in place. Like, for example, you might have another employee interview them first and just get their input. Also, your receptionist, talk to them because sometimes they're horrible to them and you don't want them. You can also say, hey, let's go for lunch. And sometimes they think they're in the door, they let their guard down. And you'll see how they behave with waiters and waitresses. And like if they're not saying please and thanks and just kind of just cocky, you're kind of seeing the real person. And even if we go on the client side of things, if I go into an office and I see people are miserable, I don't want to be doing business with them because like I want to go into the place where there's a jolly atmosphere, people are respected and they feel good. And you know yourself, you go in there, you just your energy gets sucked in some places. And you just it's like I suppose tapping into your intuition as well, going into these places. So there's ways, whether you're hiring people or you're working with clients, just pay attention to the little things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand your discernment when it comes to interaction with people where you're in control. You're the buyer, you're the employer, you're the one that holds the wallet, right? Holds the control. But if you're applying for a job, if you're looking for a client, you don't have the power of being discerning and saying, "Oh, I don't like you, I'm not going to do business." I mean, you could, but most people don't. What do you think about that?
I suppose it depends on your financial situation. You know, if there's times that you need to feed yourself, you just kind of take it on the chin. But I mean, even like when I was doing real estate, I had a lot of different clients because I had clients all over it, Irish, English, American, and everything. And I fired clients at times because there's sometimes you're paying 80% of your attention goes to these people that just want all the information. They're just annoying you. And you might think, no. And the only time you realize it's the best thing to do is when you actually say, look, this isn't working out. And I think you should, and you can even give recommendations to somebody else they could go to. I've done that. I found a recommendation. Your man said, all right, I'll go with them. And they even came to me later and said, I didn't want that. But they realized it was a bad client. So it wasn't me thinking it was just a bad kind of personality clash. It was just an awkward person. And I think you have to respect yourself as well, that if you know someone is a time suck or just nasty, like even with clients, say with the podcasting and stuff like that, like there was someone not respecting my kind of VA team, and I just like I don't tolerate that. Like there's times, as I said earlier, if you're really trying to feed yourself, you kind of take it on the chin. But when you see someone disrespecting someone that you care for, you should because they're not going to say anything because they think they're overstepping. You need to protect them, and I've done that as well. It's like, hey, don't talk to them like that, and same thing. Like you just get move people on.
Has this paid off for you? Protecting your employees? How is it paying off for you?
No, I think it does because what happens is they see that and they know that you've got their back, and then you've got loyalty, and I think it works both ways. Then that you're like then they'll do something for you out of the ordinary, and it's like you just keep building.
Mm, mm. So what do you do now? Are you still in real estate in Poland?
No, no, I mean I've got a little bit, but it's like podcasting is my kind of main thing. I've 6 shows and I've got over 1,700 episodes that I've done, edited them
Wow.
all myself. And what I do then is I help people start a show or existing people improve or do a podcast tour. And I've created a school group as well. So I've in a brain fitness with another guy as well, Dutch guy. And that's kind of my focus at the moment.
So is the brain fitness something related to neuroscience and mindset, or is it related to being good at podcasting?
No, it's nothing to do with podcasting. Yeah,
Ah.
it's made. Yeah, it's kind of like, making your relationships, curiosity, breaking the straitjackets, don't live other people's life, live your own life. And just, yeah, so that's what that is. So the guy that
Uh-huh.
I'm working with, he's 25 years. he's been studying that, and so he's really very good at that. So we've
Uh-huh.
created a school one on that as well.
Which one is, can you tell us a bit about your podcasts, maybe, and also your favorite one, if you do have one?
Yeah, yeah. So my first one was the speaking because I had a fear of speaking, and I basically joined Toastmasters, joined another club, became formed my own club, and became a distinguished Toastmaster within 3 years. And entered competitions, won a lot of competitions, got into the final of 5 countries. So during that journey, I was at an event and somebody was teaching out the podcast. I thought, oh, that's a good way of doing this. That was the first one. Meditation. I mean, I mentioned doing the property. I lost everything when the crash happened and I became personally liable for 5 million. So through that journey, meditation helped me, breathwork and things like that. And then I've a crypto. But you asked my favorite, it's the awakening. That's exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions. And it's kind of I talk about health as well, but it's kind of like what's going on in the world and how we can change it. And the
Mm.
Podfather is the recent one. That's the one that's helping podcasters. And I've learned Polish, which is, and that's got millions of views. It's kind of like with the education system. If you're learning a language, most of the time they're pushing grammar and they're just an hour and a half. And I was like, that's the time. So I don't, my energy's gone. So what I do is I do 5 to 10 minutes. Now they're gone a bit higher, we're kind of more advanced level, but it's talking about things that you'll have a conversation about. You're going to a dentist to be able to talk about the things you need in a dentist. If you're going to a mechanic, going to a restaurant, all these kind of things.
Uh-huh.
And it's like the things that people need, which will help them talk. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to care if I get a grammar wrong if I'm having a conversation. Because a lot of the time people can write the stuff, but they then can't have a conversation. So I'm kind of the opposite, and it seems to work.
Mm. With all of these activities and all of the businesses that you've been through, what is your what do you want to achieve still? Where are you going?
I'm what we're trying to do with the brain gym and all this to find it. So, for example, with the people I'm helping with the podcast, I get passionate when people are trying to make a positive change because if we look at the media, BBC, CNN, and all this, they're regurgitating lies. We know that. We see that. All the politicians, everything is like orchestrated. And when I see people that are creating something that's going to better someone, whether it's mental health or something like that, because there's a lot of that's going through the roof, people are suffering. So when people are able to do that, I have passion for that. And also with say like in the refugee camps, like we were my partner, he's talking to people in Uganda and they're in a refugee camp since they were 11
Oh,
and there's 135,000 in Uganda alone. There's 1.9 million. So what we're trying to do is create systems to help them, educate them, and get them in. Where our plan is, and because you're asking kind of the long-term goal, is
yeah.
the platform we're building that when people come in, it helps get in somebody free to be able to because we need administration when there's a bigger group and it's just trying to make change in the world and because there's so much in like when people go into a camp there's no hope for them. The children are positive and they're looking forward to making change in the world. Their parents aren't working, there's no job for them, and they're relying on a handout. But then when they go through the system, they're not able to leave and get a job. And then they just go through the whole system. So we're trying to break that. And it's like, it's just a
Are
case
you
of
talking about refugee camps of people from Uganda in Europe or in Uganda?
no in Uganda. In
In
Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay. So why are there refugee camps of Ugandan people in Uganda? I'm confused.
The Congo, when there was war broken out in the Congo, the family left and went there. But I mean, if we just look at Uganda's like say 1.9 million, if we look at the world, there must be 50 to 100 million. And I know of like a friend of mine, he went to one in Greece and he came across somebody that was born into it and they were 17. And it's like these aren't beautiful houses and stuff. These sometimes they're intense, they're in horrible accommodation, and there's no hope. So it's like we're just trying to, yeah, can you change everybody? But if we can change a few and just because what happens is when you change someone's life, a lot of the time they realize their friends, their family are in that predicament. And if they become successful, they devote their time and energy to that. And that's how the ripple effect can actually happen. So long-term goal is kind of to be doing things like that.
But and so how is the podcasting related to your goal to relieve them of the pain of being in these enclosed environments for such a long time.
It's that's the brain gym. So he's basically got a program that he's actually taking people through. He's got a and it's a case of getting them through the program and helping them for that. But the podcast is just kind of getting my message out, and I'm kind of promoting everything that I'm doing on all of my shows. So that's why the podcast kind of helps get people to understand what we're doing, and then people from the West get into this and to help people in other countries.
Hmm. What are some of the businesses that you did before podcasting? Just out of curiosity, just to kind of build a picture of who you are.
Yeah,
That's
I suppose. All
interesting.
right, so early entrepreneur. I was washing cars at 9 and delivering leaflets at 11. I was doing newspapers. I'd done that up to when I was in college. With the money from that, I bought a lawnmower. So I was going around cutting grass. Then I was doing buying and selling motorway, studied construction economics and management. And then later I done a diploma in project management, became PMP. So I worked for two contractors in Ireland for about 12 years. And during that time, I set up one business doing website design with a guy. So we were doing that for a while. Came to Poland and a lot of real estate. So set up the company first just to sell real estate. Then people were saying, uh, can you fit it out? Yeah. Can you renovate it? Yeah. So we kind of set up a few companies kind of doing the different things, management and things like that. Also bought commercials and started changing things around, build apartments. I built 30 apartments, houses, stuff like that. I did website company with application. We were doing games inside and with advertisements in it. I had a food truck business. Now I have an Estonian company for e-residency. So yeah, it's just, and I did franchising at one stage. I was like a master franchisor selling franchises internationally and just kind of learned a lot from that. So I don't fear anything. I kind of think everything is a people skill because sometimes people they think that, oh, I've studied this, I'm an accountant or in this, that's what I am. But the reality is everything is a people business. And you can
Mhm.
learn anything. You can learn it from podcasts, you can learn it from books. I mean, anytime I get into a new industry, I'll buy 5 to 10 books and I start learning it. Or I get in with a specialist and then just kind of I might do the marketing side of things. We bring different skill sets to the table. But it's like, and sometimes, yeah, you can sell something on. Sometimes it runs a score, sometimes it fails, and that's okay as well. Just keep learning and do something. Like a lot of times, people, if they're on a Sunday night and they're kind of going, "Oh, Monday is coming," that's the time to change because you should never be like that. For me, every day, I love what I'm doing. Monday, Sunday, it's all good. I enjoy what I'm doing. Try to make sure you're not a tree, you can move. So, yeah.
Yeah, true. Most entrepreneurs are like that, actually. There's no Sunday weekend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you think this world is going? I'm now asking for some curious cues from your podcast talking about awareness and uncovering the um, weird corruption and actually conspiratorial things in the world. Yeah. So where's the world going, and what's your view of what we should be doing?
Well, I think sometimes you can put together and just connect the dots and you'll see what they're doing. So, for example, 4 years ago, we talked about climate lockdown and people laughed at us. Now that's happening in Nova Scotia in Canada. So, and they'll try to push that around unless people go laugh at it, like say for monkeypox, people start creating monkeys and as a joke and it just stops straight away. And the thing is, when you realize somebody kind of, we call them waking up, they kind of realize I've been duped. The government no longer has my back. The whole medical system isn't really helping me. It's kind of making me sick, keeping me sick because it's all a money organization. When you see these things and you'll start attracting more people that kind of think that way and they'll share stories. So then you become more aware. And the thing is, a lot of times, if you're looking at the news and stuff like that, you just think it's doom and gloom and look at all the terrible things. But when you get into the right circles, you see the people that are actually creating beautiful things. So, like one of the guys that I get on, he talks about kind of sovereignty, natural law. He's making an AI agent that because there's a load of law books, there's a load of trickery in law. I've had a load of court cases, and it's like everything is all about the wording and the trickery. So he has an AI agent that's not going out to the web because it can lie. When you actually understand this, the AI is very dangerous because people they do a search or they're recording it and they're saying, look what it's saying, as if it's the truth. And it's not the truth. But what he's doing is he created the AI agent based on books like Black Law's Dictionary, Boulevards, and different things like that. And what he's currently doing it is about the parking companies because parking companies are really fraudulent in doing it. But eventually you can do that with mortgages. You can do it with a load of different things. So there's people creating stuff like that that you will probably never hear of, but they're going to have a massive impact because what's happening is it takes the money out of these corrupt companies. Like there's a load of companies that they're pretending they've got warrants from the city and it's all a lie, but people don't know. So they're just allowing them taking their properties and when you understand this, they're sharing the information. And I'm seeing a big like that was one of the things. Like I get a lot of guests on that. I've seen Australia and everything. People are starting to understand this. Like for example, if someone's writing to you, they'll call you Mrs. All capital letters. That's not you. That's the corporate entity. And it's most people. You could talk to 100 people, maybe 95 of them will laugh at you and think you're bonkers, but just five will get it. And when you start using these things, you realize the power that we've got. So what's happening? There's more and more people that are doing things and not accepting things. So the bad boys, I call them, they start losing their power. Just like you don't attack them. You don't create something to just attack them. Just create your own thing on the other side. And
I've always,
yeah,
sorry, I've always wondered whether this is only applicable to British law or English law, or if it's applicable to German or Germanic type laws, because they're completely different. And I understand the overall overarching umbrella is the same everywhere, but this AI agent has been trained on a particular type of law. And I just wonder if everybody could potentially use it because, English speakers in English speaking countries are just a fraction of the population.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
because and it's a very relevant question because a lot under the common law but it actually still works. And even in America, like this kind of UCC and things like that, Universal Commercial Code. So most of the things will work because most of the countries, like Poland, isn't common law. I've used it here. I've used my own kind of lettering system saying, hey, you're wrong, you're writing to the wrong person. I'm the living soul. And they back off.
Oh,
So
really? Oh,
yes,
okay.
they back off. So the thing is, there's a lot of people out there trying to sell stuff. There's people selling big courses and everything. And most of them, unfortunately, they're loyal to the dollar. I do believe people should be paid for providing a service. So, for example, the guy that I'm doing, he created a school group and he has so much information, including this AI agent. I think it's like something like $65 a month. But what you get, I mean, if you're going to potentially lose a house or something, that's pennies when you can learn the knowledge that can actually save you. So what happens is nobody's taking responsibility. I won't say to you, do this and you'll be safe, because then you're blaming me. You have to realize you were born free. Nobody has control over you. Like even say they say a mandate and all this. People think a mandate is mandatory. You have to do it. No. And you just have to learn these things. And when you kind of stand up for yourself, it just kind of helps you. So even when they were going around making you wear masks and everything, I was the only person with my son walking around. I wouldn't do it because I had learned earlier they don't work and the whole thing was a farce by my own knowledge, right? So irrespective of anyone's beliefs and what they think about it, I done my own research and I knew that this wasn't because I saw they were selling PCR tests in 2017 and 18 by the millions, so they knew what they were doing. So this was all
Mm.
orchestrated. So I was walking in a shopping center with my son, coming out with the trolley. Police came towards me with the masks and they started screaming at me. And I just ignored them and I just turned. They were speaking in Polish. I said, are you talking to me? And they're just kind of shocked. And they said, put on your masks. And I went, "Ugh." And I just ignored them and walked on. And they done nothing. Because
In many
usually,
cases, though, people were arrested, no matter if they claimed the actual human
yeah,
person's rights. So their person's rights were still trespassed. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if this really works in
No,
such
and I've heard of
situations.
people on the beach and everything, but I
Mhm.
think one is kind of understand it. Because sometimes, for example, people are going into court and they're saying, "What jurisdiction have you got on me?" And they get into more trouble because they annoy the judge. I don't go into court because they say you've a summons or whatever. You think you have to go. No, you don't. That's all trickery with the words as well. So, and the only way to learn that is just kind of start doing it and choose your battles. Because, like, for example, I don't know, do you have it in Austria or different places, but jaywalking? In Poland, they do. In America, they do. If you
What's
cross
that?
jaywalking, like if you cross the street, but I get it if you're walking across the street and there's cars coming and they have to brake. But if you're on a small road and there's no cars coming, but the police are waiting just to catch you, you kind of say, who's the injured party? For a crime to be committed, there must be an injured party. And it's just kind of understanding these things.
Well, I mean the fines for traffic and other sorts of fines have been increasing. They've been tighter, and it usually happens whenever there's a crisis upcoming and the countries don't have money. So that's the
Yeah.
first place they get money from, charging people for trespassing mini laws. Yeah.
Yeah, but what they do is, and you'll notice this every time, sign that. They can't do anything unless you sign it. It's always sign that. Why do they do that? Because the documentation is basically saying, I agree to what they've just said. So just it's not something you're going to learn overnight, but I would encourage everybody
Where can
just
people find out more about this? What's your podcast called about?
the Awakening podcast.
Mhm. And is
And
there a website where people can read about the AI agent?
That's a school group, so I have it in my description in one of
Mhm.
the. It's Peter Wilson, so in you just type in Peter Wilson on one of the episodes, and I have the links to his course on it. But I talk about some of the stuff I've done. I've got other specialists on as well. There's a few people doing this. So what I tend to do is I find the people that are kind of more caring than the people are trying. There's a lot of people doing this, but there's a lot of them. They're charging very high prices, and these guys are giving so much value away that you can do it without having to even join it. They have so many different places where you get information, letters to use. And for example, there's one of the things that he's doing, and I think it's brilliant. If you've got debts and they're chasing you, it can be stressful because they're just abusive or they send the heavies and everything. And then you can create the person that's not you that's representing them. There's companies that do that, but what they do is just say they take 500 a month off you and they're paying them like a buck or $5 and they're keeping most of the money. But you can be that person yourself. There's no law against that. So he's teaching you how to do that. He's giving you the exact letters to do that because everybody goes through some sort of turmoil in like business and everything. It's like everything is great till you get hit with a curveball and things can change overnight. And just learning what you can do instead of thinking that you have to follow the system. You have to think outside of the box, and
Mm.
it's not something that you should totally spend every waking moment. Like I read 20 books on it, and most of them were useless. And then I done a course that was BB. Unfortunately, she passed BB Backus. She was very good. What happened with her is she was doing real estate in Florida, I believe, doing very well. And then there was a grant for people with lower income. And she found out that the city was actually pocketing it and not giving it to them. And she exposed it. And they locked her up for 8 years.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. And she had kids and everything. So what she did, she spent that 8 years learning how they did it and what they done. So I done her courses with the letters and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
she's realized how you can actually beat them. And there's a few people like that. They learn. So sometimes people think, no, you can't beat them. You can. You can beat them. But you
I
have to
interviewed.
beat them at different levels,
Yeah.
just not let them get in. Don't get into the courtroom if you can. Just understand the power of your signature. It's so important.
I interviewed a gentleman a few months ago talking about eliminating private credit card debt and the way to absolutely legally do it. And he said it's not even touching the Strawman concept. So it's using the actual current legal system. Um, I'll put the link below in the description as reference if anybody wants to watch it. But what he mentioned is that He's also very well acquainted with the Strawman. What do you call that? Like view.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but he also said that he's had a few friends who had filed cases and were very unsuccessful. So they didn't manage to. So they got into trouble basically because it's possible that we don't have the full view of how to tackle the legal system yet. Maybe we have partial views here and there on certain cases, but not how to tackle it overall. And in some cases, it fails the concept. What do you think of that? Are you all of your of the cases you know of successful?
You can actually win by going in as well and just understanding it. It's like know what the case is. So like I know there's people they go in as they call it a Mackenzie friend. So there's people that actually go in with someone because most people they just go get nervous, they panic and everything, and they can say the wrong thing because you've got slimy lawyers representing the bank, making them say the wrong thing or just aggravating them to get them excited. And so you can have somebody that's standing there. Every case is kind of different. I've seen cases win where people have actually got it, where banks have been overcharging interest and everything. You have to take each case individually. It's very hard to kind of go down this road, it'll work. You have to kind of, I suppose, watch your own backyard and understand where you are. What I would say to people is when you are doing things, have a file, have a folder. Like I've had over 100 court cases. What I used to do is make notes and kind of go through everything, but keep calm. It's
Mm.
like they try to get you angry. When you keep calm, you're in control, and then you're spotting things. And that's how I do it. And it's like, because there is times there's people will kind of guide you in the wrong direction. Sometimes you'll have a solicitor will be telling you to do this, and you get in trouble because of their recommendation. I have heard of sometimes your own solicitor is part of the money that's kind of costing that they get a percentage of it. And I've had a few people confirm that. So sometimes you're better off representing yourself if you can. I've done that a few times, and I always felt better because it's kind of like saying you're giving your authority to somebody that you're not able to represent yourself, and nobody's going to care more about anything than yourself. So you have to kind of look at everything individually, and sometimes there could be a lot of different things with bills, cards. What I say is choose your battles because sometimes just pay something, get it off the table. Because sometimes people are trying to fight when they kind of learn this or they're kind of get put their toe in the water, they start battling everything.
Mm.
And it's a time suck because you have to when you're doing it right, you're doing registered letters. When you're getting stuff back, you're keeping it. When you send a letter, you're keeping all the stamps and stuff like that. And if you're going to do 5 battles, you've a lot of paperwork. So take your time. I mean, my own experience, we had a tenement building and they came after us after we sold it for uh, refuse. They wanted say dollar times 8 grand. And I said, we never used it. There was an alcohol shop that the people were putting the bin in. That was the deal that we had. Doesn't matter. And they tried to, and I just used my thing. And eventually they just kept reducing it. And then they said, oh, 1,000. And I never agreed. And that's what they kind of made a ruling themselves on. But whereas most people would just kind of pay that or think you've no choice
Mhm.
and it's kind of learning everything. So another thing, say in pensions, like a lot of times you get your pension, and in Ireland, when you're 50, you can get your pension. So I never paid in. I got full contribution from the company I was worked, and I had a bond as well. So I realized they were telling me it's going to go up X amount every year. 8% it'll be worth this, 6%. It never did, and I just thought I'm going cashing this in. So you can get 25% tax free, but they tax the rest at 50%. And just on my knowledge, and even the revenue were kind of going as if like I didn't know what I was doing. I got full amount on two things, 1 year and another year, based on my knowledge. And the check
Mhm.
comes from the revenue into my account. So if I asked an accountant, not one of them would have done that for me. I remember even just getting a letter here like this that the accountant was like, "Well, what do you do?" They didn't think it could work, but I know what can work. So it's just I think the most important thing is to believe in yourself, realize you're free, you were born free, and just kind of learn. You don't take on too much, just slowly learn the Strawman. What's that about? Just look at an episode, make notes, buy a book, start reading it, going. How did they do this? So when you have a case that you lose or something happens, just start researching it. How did they do that? Then you start meeting people. Like I know people in the UK, they've changed their gas meters and electricity meters. They haven't paid a bill for 5 years because they're saying they can't even tell you where it's coming from. And they get a registered person to do it because otherwise they'll say, oh, safety reasons that it wasn't installed properly. But 5 years later, they still haven't paid that. And so like we know that they're fraudulent with that. People are can't even they're deciding whether to feed themselves or keep themselves warm in some countries because of the way the energy. I mean,
Mhm.
how is energy increased? Like it's still coming from the same place. Everything is an attack on humanity. So it's kind of just learning the things to protect yourself.
Have you had any pushbacks on the podcast and on the platform that you have with your partner, the and on the AI agent?
Well, I don't. For him, I don't think he gets too much. I'd get a lot. I mean, my awakening, I got removed from YouTube. Even my crypto got removed. I got strikes with the other one. With the crypto, no strikes, just disappeared. I was trying to upload something. I was like, what's going on here? And a year later, we've reviewed your account. Here's it back. I got removed from three of my Linktree channels were removed. LinkedIn, they removed me for a week. I kind of had to write and get that one back. I got shadow banned. Constantly, even though the other day I put up a post I was talking about the jab and everything we done research on. And with TikTok, I got 6 strikes. It just one amount of shorts from the episode. But I went in and appealed and gave information, and they all got put back. But if I didn't, the next strike, I get the channels removed. I had the channel removed at one stage for about 6 months, and I just wouldn't let it go. I kept after them, and eventually they returned it.
Hmm.
But it's okay, it's just part of the thing, you will get attacked. They're trying to censor you. I mean, I don't know anybody that's censored as much as me, but I kind of think that means I'm doing something right when they're trying to hide what I'm saying.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I also know that with my channel Heal and Learn, I've also had a few videos removed, outright removed, yeah. And a strike I had once, yeah. So, but what is it? What is happening now with the whole EU censoring that started in September?
Yeah, it's like if you look at the UK, I mean, there's horrible things happening with all the migrants coming in, and they're getting community service, and somebody does a boast, and they're getting 2 to 10 years in jail. And Ireland are trying to do that now as well, and there's a few other countries, and it's a case of I think that's where understanding your natural law, sovereignty law, because if you understand that, they won't get you. But if you just kind of go along with it and let the police come in and just ask you questions and things like that, I've learned that even with detectives and police, they're trained in such a way as if they're your friend, and then they use every single thing that you say against you. So unless they have permission, don't answer, don't talk to them. They're not your friends. Unfortunately, there's very few. There is a few that are actually, hate what's going on. They're trying to stand up against it. But unfortunately, they have a mortgage, they have bills, and they're told, get in line or you're out, or you're going to jail. So we have to kind of realize that as well.
Mm. What is your view on the future? Is it going to be dystopian or split in two pieces or two
It,
halves?
it, it's a hard one because we're covering a lot on the AI, and I don't hear many talking about, but I'm extremely worried about the jobs because now you've got trucks that are driving without a driver, and it's starting, but there's millions of truck drivers. Their job is gone. The taxi drivers, we've been conditioned to use Bolt and Uber instead of a taxi, which is way cheaper, and they're taking 30 to 50%. But it's students, so they're happy to have a few bucks in their pocket. But then you're seeing the cars, so eventually they'll all be. So all your taxi drivers and everything will be gone. The shops, now you're the self-checkout. I mean, I asked at one stage, when's the Christmas party? Because I'm kind of working here now and they didn't really understand me. But we're all working for these. So all these jobs are going. And if there's kind of a lot of these people don't have a different skill set. And couriers, everything, there's a very high percentage of jobs that are disappearing. And people are kind of going along thinking, oh, this is great, until your job is gone. So
Well, isn't
We're,
this why they've been speaking about universal basic income already since 2020? I mean, in my knowledge, maybe even before
yes.
that. So that's not news. That's kind of even officially announced. So there's a solution for all of the drivers.
Yeah, but you see, the
Yeah.
problem is with that. They'll say you have to get the job or you don't get your income. You've actually traveled too much. You're going against the climate change kind of thing, carbon credits. So you can't do that. If you just look at some of the countries how they're doing it, you can't open your bank. Your bank is emptied. So when you get something, nothing is free. They have control. They turn off the tap, and you be compliant. If you start protesting because you don't like what the government's doing, oh, your tap is turned off. So do you protest? No, it is very dangerous to have a universal income.
So the only way is not to play the game, to be
Exactly.
out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. The only way is not to play. I think there's a Riddler in the XRP community saying that the only way to win is not to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. So I will not go into more detail about this topic, but I'll send everyone to your podcast to listen to everything in detail, the awareness podcast,
The awakening.
the awakening podcast. Thank you so much, Roy. Anything
Thank
else that you would like to add?
just not to be living in fear. And
Mhm.
even if you're trying to, because there is some people that are kind of, trying to share information. If you're attacked, don't engage. So if you've got social media and people are against what you're doing, you're talking to the wall, don't engage. So if it's really nasty, report it, delete it, don't comment, and put your energy towards positive things that you're doing, because unfortunately some people get into a trail of a conversation. There's a high percentage of bots on social media. You could be chatting to a bot, so just don't even engage, just do the right thing. And when you see something that's wrong, stand up for it. Don't think someone else will do it. So if the school is trying to push something, books or whatever, you go there and say, I'm not tolerating this. Try to get a few parents together. And that's how you stop it. Stop it at local level instead of thinking, oh, we can never change the government. Everything is steps, and you just stop it at the first step, and it doesn't ripple up.
So at what point do you not play the game? Because this means still participation.
There's like sometimes people are saying, oh, can I get out of the system? Do I get into the system? I think you have to do both because
Mm.
you
In
this
parallel, yeah.
yeah, you have to this because there's some things that are good. Like sometimes people are thinking, oh, I don't need a driving license and I have the freedom to drive and all this kind of thing. But then they think they can drive at any speed. I don't want that because I want safety. So we have to have both, but at a level that is not trying to empty our pockets, that they're there for proper reasons instead of a financial benefit to the
Mhm.
powers that be.
Yeah. Thank you, Roy. Very insightful. I enjoyed it. And I'll
Thank you
check
very
your
much.
podcast out. And again, the what's the name of the platform?
Awakeningpodcast.org is the podcast. Or they'll find me and my six shows,
Ah,
roycoughlan.com. It's the place.
yeah, yeah. And the place to find the AI agent is in the description to your episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.